Is your child afraid of the dark? Or maybe ghosts? Or monsters in the closet? Or does your child fear taking a bath? Or that spider in the corner? It is really frustrating to see a child being scared and not being able to help them overcome this feeling. In the past few years, I felt this several times as both my daughters have experienced different fears. As I wanted to be a real support for them in dealing with these feelings, I started to read a lot of articles on how to help children overcome fears. After trying several methods, I discovered some tools and strategies that worked very good for us, and I think that could help you too if you're struggling with the same issue. Fear is common among children and can be seen as a good thing. Children need to learn that there are things to be afraid of, such as traffic on busy streets or hot stoves. Too much fear and too little fear are both problems for them. A child with too much fear may be afraid to participate in normal activities. A child with too little fear may take too many chances and get hurt. You may notice that some of your children have more fears than others. Children are born with different temperaments and personalities. This means that some children are timid, shy, and fearful, while other children are carefree and brave. Let us now look at some of the age related fears and how to cope with these fears. And the age groups that we would be looking at are infants, toddlers, preschoolers, school age kids, and adolescents. Fear of loud noises, typically for infants and toddlers. So, why is my child afraid? Young children are getting used to this world, and loud noises can startle them. So, how can we cope with this fear? Hold them really close and comfort them. Talk softly and tell them that they are safe. Tell them about what is making the noise. Maybe you can let the toddlers touch a vacuum cleaner or the other noisemaker when it is switched off. A quick recap on how to cope with this fear. Fear of strangers. So, why is my child afraid? Babies have learned what their moms and dads look like. Strangers are unfamiliar to them. Children don't know if they can trust strangers. So, how can we cope with this fear? Pick up your children or hold their hands when they are hesitant to meet new people. This tells them you will take care of them. Talk to them about the new person. Talk about the safe people in the community. A quick recap on how to cope with this fear. Fear of baths. Toddlers and preschoolers would typically have this fear. So, why is my child afraid? Small children know that water and soap suds disappear down the drain. They might wonder if they could get sucked down the drain too. They do not understand that they are too big. And some children just don't like water. So, how to cope with this fear? Make sure your children are safe, be it the bathtub or the shower. Talk to them and play with them. Maybe make a bath fun by providing some water toys. If you're using the tub, you take the child out of the tub before draining the water. A quick recap on how to cope with this fear. Fear of animals, especially dogs. Usually, preschoolers would have this fear. So, why is my child afraid? Animals are very unpredictable in their movement. Dogs are often loud, and the noise can frighten children. So, how to cope with this fear? Pick up your child or hold their hand when dogs are around. Talk about dogs. Watch dogs with your children. Comment about how the dog plays with other people. Let your child pet a small, calm dog held by an adult. A quick recap on how to cope with this fear. Fear of the dark. Preschoolers and school age kids would have this fear. This fear takes a long time to go away. So, why is my child afraid? In the dark, the child's mind can create many scary images. Young children often imagine monsters, older children more often imagine burglars. So, how to cope with this fear? Hug your children before bed, tuck them in, leave the light on in the hallway, or get a nightlight for their room. Stay nearby until your child falls asleep. Let children decide when they don't need their nightlight anymore. A quick recap on how to cope with this fear. Fear of ghosts or monsters. Largely, preschoolers and school age kids would have this fear. So, why is my child afraid? Children's minds are very active. They are still learning the difference between what is real and what is not. So, how to cope with this fear? It can be helpful to get your children a nightlight. Talk with them about where the shadows come from. Use your imagination to create friendly ghosts or funny monsters, such as a daddy monster or a mommy monster who watches over the child and scares other monsters away. A quick recap on how to cope with this fear. Fear of failure or rejection. Typically, school age kids, and more so, adolescents, would have this fear. So, why does my child have this fear? Older children think a lot about how other people see them. They don't want to look stupid in front of their friends. They're figuring out who they are and they want to look good. They also don't want to let you down. So, how to cope with this fear? Help your children learn that everyone makes mistakes. Admit when you make a mistake and talk about what you did. Encourage your children to take appropriate risks. Set reasonable expectations for them and do not criticize your children in front of others. A quick recap on how to cope with this fear. Fear of blood, injury, illness, or doctors. So, why is my child afraid? Children know that injuries and sickness do happen. They know they can get hurt as well. Blood is scary because it is related to pain and because children at some ages are sensitive to body fluids. So, how to cope with this fear? Listen to your child's fears. Talk to them about safety. Play doctor. Read books about going to the doctor or hospital. Have your children watch you get a blood test done or maybe go to the dentist. A quick recap on how to cope with this fear. As a summary, let's look at some of the proven strategies to help children overcome their fears. Even if some fears may seem silly to us, they are very real for the child and they are affecting him. Accepting the child's fear is the first step in helping him deal with it and overcome it. It is very important to never tell a child that he's silly when he's afraid of something or that he shouldn't feel scared. Messages like, "You have nothing to be afraid of," or "It's so silly of you to be scared of this," make them think that it's something wrong with them because they feel scared. This will also prevent them from expressing their fears in the future. Also, making fun of the child's fears will only intensify their anxiety and lower their self esteem. What is helpful to do is to reassure the child that the fear is normal and that they can request a parent's help anytime they feel scared. Sometimes it's useful if the parent shares some of their childhood fears with the child. This could make them feel more comfortable to share their own feelings. Acceptance and love. are the most effective tools in helping a child overcoming their fears. Hugging the child every time they feel scared is a great way to make them feel safe. A gentle hug can relieve the stress and help them overcome the fear more easily. Talking about feelings has an incredible healing power. Sometimes, only being able to name the fear and to discuss it can really help the child feel less stressed about it. Here are three helpful tools to use in the discussions for helping the child deal with the fear. 1. Asking questions about the fear to understand better what is causing it. 2. Inviting the child to name the fear and to say how it feels. A useful method is to ask the child, where does he feel the fear in his body? In his tummy, in his feet, etc. This will allow him to be more aware of his feelings and it will help him open up about the fear. 3. Drawing the fear. Young kids may have a difficult time to put their feelings into words. Asking the child to draw the fear is a wonderful exercise for dealing with it. Play has an amazing power on kids. It can help a lot with coping fear, especially through pretend play. Creating a story about a doll or a teddy that is scared and how it manages to overcome the fear is a very helpful tool to use. For example, the fear of the doctor can be eased if you use pretend play and you create a hospital for the dolls. Letting the child be the doctor gives her a sense of control over the situation. Projecting the fear on a toy can help the child open up about her feelings and enable her to express better. Fear is an irrational feeling, but giving rational explanations about the things that scare the child could really diminish the fear. It may seem strange to find out that taking a bath scares the child because he thinks he could get sucked down the drain. But it's important to acknowledge that kids see things a lot different than we do. Giving the child information about the things that scare him means enabling him to fight the fear more easily. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that all this information will be helpful to you. Sometimes it's really hard to deal with kids' fears, and it's very important to know how to help them so that they will feel safe and confident again. Which strategy did you like? Pretend play or draw your fear? Please leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.